Good morning, year one, and welcome to the last day of our English for the week. Today, you're going to have a go at drawing a story map of the entire story of Jack and the Beanstalk. So as usual, growing ups, you're probably going to want to listen to that video again, or just have a go at looking at your own video if you filmed yourself telling the story yesterday. Now, before we get started though, we're going to have our final day work on ED verbs. So get your whiteboards and whiteboard pens ready, and when you're ready, we'll get started. Okay, so today we're going to touch upon something that's actually not year one learning, but I'm sure you're going to be able to do this because you're going to enjoy it, and it's looking for verbs and recognizing where a verb is in a sentence. And you can possibly need your parents' help for a bit of this, but I'm sure you can do brilliantly. So before we get started on that, can you remember what the suffix ed does? Quickly tell your grown-ups, and grown-ups, when you're ready, start the video again. So ed is added to a verb when something has already taken place, something that's happened in the past. However, an ed can only be added to regular verbs. Some verbs are irregular and show the past tense differently, i.e., for example, ran and run. I run to the shops, present tense. I ran to the shops, past tense. Okay, so that's what we're looking at today. We're trying to identify regular and irregular verbs. So your first challenge is to identify all the verbs. And have a think about what this passage is written in. And in a minute, I'll go through and I'll highlight those verbs. But let's read this first together. Yesterday, I played in the house. We walked to the duck pond. We fed the ducks. I completed my home learning. I sent a photo to Mr. Richards. I went to bed. I listened to a bedtime story. I slept. Now, in each one of those sentences, there is a verb. There's 10 verbs altogether. So have a go with your mums and dads or whoever's working with you at finding the verbs. And when you're ready, grown-ups, start the video again and I will highlight them. Okay, so welcome back, year one. Yesterday I played in the house. That's quite an easy one. The first verb is played. We walked to the duck pond. Again, that's an ed verb, so that's a regular verb. We fed the ducks. So you probably figured out it was fed. That's not technically an ed because we feed the ducks is the present tense. I completed my home learning, so another ed. I sent a photo to Mr. Richards. So what did you do? You sent me a photo. I went to bed. I listened to a bedtime story. I slept. Well, it can't be the I, so it must be the slept because that's what you're doing. Okay, so those are all the verbs. And note, as they told us on BBC Bitesize, there's a verb in every sentence. Okay, so your second challenge is to sort the 8 verbs into those that end with the suffix ed and those that aren't using the suffix ed, and sort them into the table below Jack would like you to do. So you could just draw a chart, or you could split your whiteboard in two and put the verbs either side, those with the suffix ed and those without. Okay, so have a go at that, and when you're ready, start the video again and we'll see whether you got them right. I bet you will. Okay, welcome back, year one. Let's see how you did. So here is where I think they should go. First one is played, and that goes there. Walked is also an ed, but fed isn't because it's feed. If it was an ed, it would be feeded, and we don't say that. It's a bit of a mouthful. Completed, another ed. Sent, see the way it's a t instead. Went, see again, that's actually go becomes went. And the last two, listened, another ed, and the last one, slept, isn't an ed. Okay, well done, year one. That's the end of the grammar section of our lesson, and now on to the main part of our learning. Okay, so today you're going to have a go at creating a story map. Now, when we've done story maps before, you've generally had maybe 6, 8 or 10 frames to fill in, but this story is a lot longer than that. This is quite a challenging story, and that's why we had so many prompts yesterday to help you retell it. Now, usually Mrs. Lord would draw the map after you suggest what we should do. But obviously we're not in class at the moment. So what I've managed to do is I've managed to find the one we did for last year for year 1. And here it is, just to give you an idea of what it could look like. But it's up to you how you do this ultimately. You could do it however you like. But here's the one we did last year. So we start with Jack. Once upon a time there was Jack. He lived with his mum and the cow called Daisy. One day Daisy produced no milk. So do you see the way that we're using an arrow to move the story on? And then each time something happens, we have it there, and then we do another arrow. So this is our old man. There's the beans. There's mum throwing them out the window. There's Jack sent to bed, etc., 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 etc. So have a go at drawing your own story map of Jack and the Beanstalk. And if you want to send us a photo in, that would be absolutely brilliant, especially since you're going to be using these next week to retell the story yourselves. And that's the end of English for this week. And there isn't really an English writing task this week, not linked to English anyway, because we're going to be doing the writing all next week.